Hello friends and potential friends. Well, let's talk sweet potatoes a little bit more. What brought this to my attention was when I was out here this morning. I was looking around in this brush over here and I saw a few flowers. You can see one right there. They've closed up now, but there were several of them in here. There's another one right up there. And if you look at those leaves, you see we got sweet potato vines. There's another flower right there. Now what worries me is this is the area where I originally got my first sweet potato seeds. The ones that went on to become the sweet potato from seed experiment and turned out to be pretty much of a dismal failure because they never produced tubers. So I'm going to be clearing this part out here real soon to make sure that those things don't try to take over my garden again next summer like they did this last summer. And there are still a number of them in here. That's my main sweet potato bed where I planted all my slips, or a lot of my slips. The rest of them were planted right over here on the other side of this bed. And there's one little box out there that I'm going to dig apart as well. Now, if you saw my previous treasure hunt, you know that I went through all of my beds, or just about all of them, and found pretty much nothing until I got to the bed where I grew my sweet potato slips. And that's where I got these guys. With the exception of these two, which I found about a week ago when I pulled up a sweet potato vine that was growing in one of the walkways. So there are sweet potatoes growing out here, just none of them are growing that came from seeds. But then, in my little garden tour of about a week or so ago, I found a flower on this one vine, and as you might be able to see, it looks like this vine is trying to produce some seeds. Now, I don't know whether that flower got germ pollinated or not, but that's my only real chance of trying to keep the sweet potato from seed experiment going. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dig up the main bed over there, and I'm going to dig up this bed, but I'm going to save this one vine and let it keep going and see if I can get some seeds from it. Now that vine actually starts over here, runs all the way down here. It's got a root going in right about there, and then it comes across, and the main part of the root is right here. I'm going to dig up everything else and try to keep that one intact. The reason I'm digging up everything else is because these things are starting to produce slips. So I think the sweet potatoes that are under the ground here are starting to sprout again. There's one that I pointed out the other day that is kind of turning green on me because part of it was above the surface of the soil, and it's got little slips coming out of it. So I've let them go a little bit too long, and it's time to do something about it. So let me stick you up here on the tripod, and we'll start off in this main bed and see what we can find. And I'll state at the beginning, this should be a whole lot better than that last treasure hunt. Okay, there's the yield from the main bed. They're all pretty small. I think this one is probably the biggest. I do have quite a bit of bug damage, but I'll get some French fries out of that deal. Now let's see what I can do about that other bed. Well, before we do the other big bed, let's go ahead and get these guys out of the way. I only had a few slips left over, and I stuck them in here. And there currently looks like there's only 2 vines here. One of them is based right here, one over here in the corner. So let's start with the corner. Well, not much there. Got one, but I think the bugs got the rest of them. Well, not too bad. One nice one in there. Yeah, that one's not bad. One little spot of damage on it. But I'm going to leave that corner back there because I don't want to disturb the roots of that one vine. And I'm going to leave that vine stretched out so I can... There it is. So I can see about getting some seeds from there. Because these ones definitely grew from slips. And I wouldn't mind trying to grow some seeds off of them. But anyway, let me go put these all together and I'll show you the final result. Okay, that's not too bad. There's some of them here that are eating size. A lot more that are French fry size. I do have a lot of bug damage. I left them in the ground too long. But that's my fault. and some of them were growing slips. Now you may or may not have noticed that while I was digging through those, I set a few slips off to the side because, well, today is what, October 21st? It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's currently 86 degrees here. I might just plant some more slips and see about doing another harvest in February or March. If the cold doesn't get them, they'll probably just keep on growing. But that's it for today, and I'll see you next time.